Hey, I'm Ella and I'm going to be talking to you about proactive tutoring strategies. Proactive tutoring strategies are the techniques that you can use in your tutoring sessions to make sure that your student gets the most out of their time with you. Student engagement is using strategies to help get your student engaged in your lessons so that they get the most out of the time with you. One of the most important things in student engagement is having a good relationship with your student. You will have already heard all about building relationships with Nicola in a previous video, but it's important to remember from this that the information you learn about your students when you build a relationship in them, you can use in future lessons as well. It's not just the first session getting to know them, but all of your following sessions as well. So for instance, if you learn that your student is really interested in cars, you should be using this in every session. The next thing that's really important when you're using proactive tutoring is your attitude and your engagement in those sessions. What we mean by this is that if you have a really good positive attitude and you really want to be there spending time with your student, they will pick up on that and they're going to be more engaged because you're engaged. The more that you enjoy yourself and have fun, the more that your student will enjoy themselves and have fun, and the more that they're going to learn. Next, it's important to focus on what your student can do. When we talk about focusing on what your student can do, what we mean is it's important to be positive during your sessions with your student. So for instance, if they're really struggling with a math question, try not to use any sort of negative language towards them and focus instead on all the hard work that they're putting in and everything that they have achieved. This makes your student feel good and more positive about your lessons, and then they're going to want to give more to the lesson and try harder. Lastly, it's important to use effective praise when you're tutoring your student. There are two kinds of praise, and those are ego and task-based feedback. Ego-based feedback is kind of what the name sounds like. So your feedback's going to appeal to that person's ego and make them feel really good. And this is a really good, positive way of giving feedback to your student, and you should make sure to use lots of it in your lessons. Things like, well done, you're working so hard, I'm really impressed with you. But ego-based feedback doesn't give us any information on how we can improve. That's where task-based feedback comes in. Task-based feedback is all about the actual task that your student is completing. So for instance, if they're working really hard on a math question, you might say, wow, that's such good work, which is your ego-based feedback, but then go into the task. You'd say, I can see here that you've mixed up some of the numbers, so it's not quite right, but if you try again, I can see that you're going to get the right answer next time because you've done steps 1 and 2 perfect. This means that the student now knows exactly what they need to do to get better. And that's a really good kind of feedback.